Hey Jay here, we are with our 1996 CR250 steel frame bike. This one's the black edition with some updated look. A lot of guys give us grief thinking it's a little bit militia, but I call this militia that's been born again. Got a little bit of bright life to it. Check it out. So as you can see, this thing looks incredible. I'm really in love with this bike. It's one of my favorite of all the bikes, even though it's darker themed. In these early, mid, late 90s, a lot of guys, even that weren't totally freestyle guys, went to this custom looking things and making them look darker. And that was a freestyle thing that came out. And that's when people started getting different color plastics. And so we thought we'd go all in on this bike and get the frame done black from San Diego powder coating. And after we did all of our welding with my buddy Dallas, we were able to paint the frame, which was really cool. And black plastic from MX Plastic with DecalWorks graphics to match. Moto seat cover. We have this whole custom look going that came out really nice. Sano Metal Finishing helped us with all of our metal treatment, vapor blasting the cases, Cerakoting the hubs. When we did the hubs, we used Pro X bearings in there, of course, Tusk spokes, and Naxtar rims on our wheels. We're able to do all that, and we Cerakoted it bronze, so it wasn't just all black, so it wasn't completely blacked out. And with our graphics, as you can see, it still has some brightness to it, so that it brightens it up with some more modern looks from DecalWorks on these graphics with the chrome and everything. Just really pops off. The biggest part of this build, of course, is the engine. That's always what people care about, and Tom Morgan is one that did our engine mods to the cylinder and head. And we replated those cylinders from Millennium. Every single cylinder on these older bikes is gonna usually need some attention, and this one did. Millennium helps with that. Tom ports it, cuts the head, and my buddy Brad at Parapros helped us assemble it with Tom's carburetor specs and all that, and we got this thing together. Spec bolt, recluse. Andrew Langston helped us with the crank. You can see the engine takes a ton of work, and so that was one of our bigger hurdles to get over. Got that done. The next big hurdle is suspension on these older bikes. This one was no different. To get after the suspension on this thing, Race Tech went through it, found out that the shock body and forks are worn out, so you got to get those hard anodized. Aluminart helps with that, and then they were able to go through this thing. It took us at least 2 sets of suspension to make this one work on this black bike, but it's worth it on these older bikes. Pro X is a key partner in all of our builds like this because they make so many of the little pieces. When we rebuilt the brakes, we use all their pieces, and we have Galfer lines on here. When we do the engine pieces, Pro X has the bearings, those types of things in there. The rod kit that Andrew Langston used was from Pro X, and so that really helps when we build all these bikes, is having a company like Pro X that has all those kind of pieces. Phil Denton Engineering is another company we use. He's changed the name of his shop to Speed Factory Development out of the UK. He has the radiator hoses, clamps, foot peg pins. We have a lot of great companies on here. IMS, Fast Company, Klotz, VP, Uni Filters. Works Connection has those tremendous clutch perches. We got the ODI for our bars and grips. Clark Tank. ICW helped us with the radiator strengthening and straightening up. Of course, we have Dunlop tires. FMF pipe. Not so simple in the FMF because they don't have a lot of options, so Robbie at Robbie's Pipe Repair helped us when we stripped it to give it that factory look. And the Shorty silencer on here, we had to modify a power core to make work. Of course, we got our Cometic gaskets. AK Technologies is a custom carbon company, and they've been helping me develop some louvers for this thing. So we got some test louvers on here for the radiators, which is really cool. Hey, thanks for watching. Remember to use our Rocky Mountain link and all of our other links when you're shopping. Enduro Engineering makes a little brake tip, so after we cleaned up our brake pedals, we're able to use a brake tip to give it this look, because any of these older bikes, that brake tip is always crushed, and there's no good brake pedals available. It's nice to have a modern throttle on this thing. Motion Pro Vortex SE throttle works with the ODI grip, which is cool, and has their cable, really a Sano setup. Of course, inside this thing is a Wiseco piston matched up to that Millennium plating and Tom Morgan porting. We have a few Tusk pieces. Got the spokes to go with our wheel build, the shifter, and kill switch. Moto Seat has foams for these older bikes, and you can see they made the cover to match these older graphics incredibly well. Clark Manufacturing still has these black tanks, which is really cool, gives it a great look to add to everything else we did. So as you can see, it's got a really cool look, and with these mods, it runs great. It's incredible how good a 30-year-old bike can look and feel. We didn't want to damage this thing on the track. I'm in too much in love with this bike to do that. So we got some extra wheels with some junker tires on there, and we're zipping it up and down the road here at Blackmore Ranch, which is an incredible place in Southern California. A good friend in Jeff Blackmore that let us come out here and shoot this thing. And you can see we're just zipping it up and down his driveway and having a good time. Listen to this thing, it sounds incredible. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed all that. Really cool bike. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time. I'm lifting with my left hand. See how nice our first 3 engines, we kind of got those done similar time frame. And Brad was a huge help. If you watch my videos a lot, I've talked about Brad before. He's the one that helped split all these things apart. So once we got them all apart, you know, we cleaned them with degreaser, buffed them off, and then we assessed what needed to be welded. And that was a real common thing, that something was typically either damaged from somebody prying on the cases or from something breaking, piston breaking, whatever, crank. And so they all have to be cleaned up at Sano Metal Finishing. And then Andrew Langston in Southern California rebuilt all of our crankshafts. And that's a big thing, to use an OEM quality Pro X rod on your existing crankshaft. You're able to do that, so it's really cool.